Right, so today we are taking a silage sample with our poppy from ForFarmers. Right. So this is grass on the top.
Yeah.
We've got a
I think it might have fallen back there.
We've got stone.
That
That were lightning, wasn't it?
Is it safe to be up here?
Yeah. Right, in the thunderstorm. Right, I think we'll just get. Do you want to make stuff or do you want to hold crop separate?
Whole top separate, I think.
I think we're going to be in the whole crop next. Is that whole crop? Is it, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, put that in a different bag then, right?
So that you can see
That's what editing's for. All whole crops still.
I expect we've got a little bit of grass in there.
Well, it's undersown anyway.
Yeah.
So there always will be.
Yeah.
Right, it's back in the grass now. Right, the bottom bit is grass and that's whole crop there. So we'll have a split sample.
Not really whole crop, it's arable.
Well, arable soiling. Yeah, but it is whole crop, it's got green in it. Is that enough or not? Bit wetter, isn't it?
It is. What a difference that bit is there. It wasn't raining the day I came out. Do one more. Do you want that? Or you want?
Don't know, put them very low now as well.
When did you cut this one? Oh, 15th.
15th, yeah. Well, this last bit here may have been on the top, cut and picked up straight away.
Oh, yeah, that was explaining it.
Right, so we've got our two samples. What we have taken is second cut grass silage that was on top of the whole crop, and our, well, we call it whole crop. It was intended to be arable silage, but because we were a little bit late, it has got grain in it, so it's now become barley whole crop. So Poppy will now send this off to the lab to be analysed, and when this comes back in a few weeks' time, what Poppy's agreed to do, she's going to talk us through the results, the analysis. We have already got the analysis for the first cut silage that we took about a month ago now. We sampled that. So what we'll do, we'll take all three analysis, we'll make a video. So we'll come back at the end of the video and we will look over all three analysis. Poppy will talk us through good, bad or indifferent when they come back. So next time we see you, we should be with some paperwork to discuss the quality of our forage for this year. Right, so we're back now with Poppy. She has got our analysis. So we've got the first cut, which we took. When was that?
There was a date on it somewhere.
There was a date on it.
16th of July.
Okay, so we took the first cut sample in July, and this is the whole crop that we took 2 minutes ago in the video, but really we're a month later. So we'll take a closer look at these. So what we've got, dry matter. What does that mean? Milk. What does that mean?
So milk is more energy for the lactating cow, but cows in Dutch, hence the K.
Right, yeah.
So that's just the actual energy that the cow can utilise. So
Yeah.
it's a bit more precise than your original ME. It's a bit dated
Then
now.
we've got RFC.
Rapidly fermentable carbohydrates, so that's your starches, sugars and your fibres and how they've fermented.
Yeah. AI.
Is acidosis index.
Oh yeah. And then RI.
Rumination index.
Right, okay. So we'll go over to this is the actual bit what we understand.
Yeah.
So we got the ME. The whole crop is a bit low. 9.7 is the result. D value again is a bit low, 61.6.
Yeah. So the D value, the ME is calculated from the D value. So if one's low, the others get low.
Yeah.
As well.
Crude protein is very high, really off the scale for a whole crop, but that's because it's got peas in it and it's undersown with grass. So that's the main reason for that. So protein in a whole crop is not normally that great,
No,
is it?
it's not usually that high. 17% on this
Yeah,
one.
you normally grow whole crop for the starch, and we have got the high protein in this, which will come into play later in the season when the fodder beet comes in, which is traditionally low in protein and needs balancing anyway. NH3 fraction, what does that mean?
That's the ammonia fraction in it.
Right.
That's all within.
So we've got a very disappointing result in the starch for the whole crop. It says 49, and they expect the low range to be 55 grams a kilogram. Obviously, when we took the sample, we were taking a little tiny core down through the whole clamp. That's not a representative sample for of the clamp. So what we will do, as you can see by our right at the bottom is first cut, then we've got a distinct layer of whole crop, and then on the top are a bit of second cut. Obviously, as we go back up through the clamp, those depths will change. But what we'll do, once we're going properly throughout the winter, we will take a regular sample off of the face, and then we'll have, take maybe 10 samples across the face, mix them all up and take a representation of that, which is far more accurate than just taking one core down the centre.
And it will have longer to ferment as well then, so hopefully there will be a bit more starch in there further down the line.
This has been in about 6 weeks when we sampled it, which is kind of what they say, isn't it?
Yeah.
But obviously the longer you leave it, the better it comes out. So look, yeah, so we're low in starch, but next analysis might change that. Sugar, what are we sugar?
Quite high in sugar.
High in sugar, that would be the grass, wouldn't it, in the whole crop. NDF, that's fibre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Again, that's a
Neutral
straw.
detergent fibre, yeah, so that's quite high, that's nice. That will help buffer the rumen as well when you're feeding it.
NDFD, what's that?
That's how digestible the fibre is, so that's really high.
Is that the grass again causing that? Or?
Will help, yeah.
Yeah. Ash and crude oil, they're quite high too. Is that good, bad or indifferent?
That's a rubbish.
Ash is, effectively.
Yeah. So that's
oil's one. pH 4.7, that's a little bit on the high side.
Right.
But not too much.
Yeah, but it's still stable, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah, you can see
it's fermenting well in there. And acetic acid, lactic acid, acetic acid. That's the fermentation. Isn't
Lactic acid you want to be high.
Yeah.
That is within the normal range, as you can see. So it's not particularly high, but it's not low.
Yeah.
Acetic acid is probably you want sort of mid-range balance. So that's
a little bit
probably
high,
a bit high, but it's fine.
Right. So that's the whole crop. That we weren't really aiming. We were aiming for arable silage, but because of the delayed cutting date, we ended up with whole crop. It's not really what we wanted, but we've got to make the best of what we got. So now we're on to first cut silage. So this was made middle of May. We did a video on that. We actually did 2 videos. I might put a link somewhere if I remember to do it. Right, so we'll go through the first cut now. We do have a very slim seam of first cut here. Mostly it's in the big clamp, but we'll go through the results. The dry matter 32. That's kind of out and about, isn't it?
Yeah.
There we are. MELK again. That's
milk. Yeah, that's within the normal range. That's fine.
Kind of a bit low, isn't it, really? But TDP, I've forgotten what these mean already.
Yeah, true digestible protein. So
Okay.
that's the protein that can be utilised. That's quite high. So that's
Right.
good.
Yeah.
RFCs, we've seen them quite high this summer, so that's in keeping with what we've
So,
seen.
so these target ranges we've got here, is this for this year or just as a general
General that one is.
rule? Right, okay. let's go over to the ME. That's one what we really all want. We've got 11.1, which is okay, isn't
Yeah,
it?
no, that's...
The D value 69.
Yeah, happy.
Could be a little bit higher, but it's perfectly good enough.
Yeah.
Protein 14.1. So that's kind of bottom end of average, really, isn't it?
But it's in keeping with what I've seen this year, really.
Right, well that's okay then. NH3, what was that?
That's the ammonia again.
Ammonia, right. Sugar.
Sugar's high.
Sugar is high. Sugar is down to your cutting. When you cut it in the daytime, obviously we want to cut as late as we can in the day, within reason, to let the sunshine bring the sugar up. And then as you cut the grass, the water evaporates away and leaves the sugar behind, which is why we want to wilt. And that is, again, comes down to us having the 2 mowers. It gives us more chance to start mowing later and still get the ground covered we need to, which in turn increases our quality very slightly by keeping the sugar up.
No, definitely.
Fibre.
And that's never going to be particularly high, particularly in first cut.
Not in
It's
first cut,
young
no.
grass.
But then we've got fibre in the whole crop
In
to
the whole
balance
crop.
it.
Exactly,
Out. There will also be fibre in the fodder beet, won't there? When we get into
Yeah,
that.
that'd be another source.
NDF.
That's how digestible the fibre
Right,
is.
yeah. So everything else is kind of...
So ADL is the acid detergent lignin, and that lignin they can't digest.
Right.
So you want that to be low, yours is low.
But then
so
they need a bit of fibre they don't digest anyway, don't they?
Well, that will literally go straight through in that bit.
And then we've got oil, N index, what's that?
Yeah,
nitrogen.
Yeah, that's all fine.
Oh, that's all kind of within the range.
pH 4.3, so that's good.
Yeah, so that's good. Lactic acid, again, that's the fermentation, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's a little bit low, on the low side.
Butyric, we want to be low, don't we?
You do, yeah, and you'll know if it's very butyric because it will stink.
Yeah, so this is...
confirm that that's not.
Our result of butyric acid is 1.1. And they say you want to be between 0 and 7, so we're right at the bottom end of that, which is where we need to be. Acetic acid, there's no line there. What does that mean?
It's fine.
That's good. Right, that'll do then. There we are. Right, so I will put a close-up picture of this because I can't focus on it. The camera won't pick it up. But we'll put a close-up on this, and then you can have a look at what it means and compare it to your own. And leave a comment down below if you think this is rubbish, but it's what we got. So our cows, our cows are going to eat it, whatever, you know. We've got a big heap of it. We ain't going to run out this year. Now we've got plenty in, and we can adjust things throughout the winter, depending on, you know, because these may change as we take our face samples throughout the winter. You know, if we need to change stuff, we can change the content, protein content of the cake in the parlour.
Yeah.
Because you can offer a very wide range, I'm sure.
Yeah, and higher starch cakes, higher fibre cakes.
So there's all sort of little tweaks we can do, which is why we need to keep doing this. So we don't do one a year and work off of this always. We keep doing it because although it's filled all in one day, the first cut, and layered, it's always going to be different. To matter, you know, but it will change as we go back through.
And different fields and
through the clamp. Yeah, so there's different fields because in the first cut there's permanent pasture and there's ryegrass lays, so that's all mixed in, and we need to keep it mixed in and keep the fodder beet in, so everything should then balance out, you know, kind of somewhere close to handy, isn't it?
Poppy's computer will tell us.
Oh, yeah,
yeah, we'll put it through the laptop.
Yeah, and the computer tells us what we need to do.
Yeah,
and
we'll
then
just keep tweaking it.
We ignore it and do what we want to do anyway.
So we're already looking at the winter ration now. The cows aren't in yet, but we're just...
No, we're just, obviously, we just started buffer feeding the clamp a little bit. So as more and more calve, then we will, we were just talking, we will introduce our out of parlour feeders shortly. So that'll be another way of getting the nutrients into them, picking out higher doses for the fresh calvers and the late lactation cows, and coming up to dry off, they will just be on a basic low rate until they're dried off. Right, so I think that's covered everything, haven't we? Anything else we need to say? So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you next time.
Bad language.
Yeah.
We're not doing it again. So
no, one take wonder, mine.